Am I the a-hole for not allowing a friend to move in with me? I, 19 female, come from a wealthy family. Even so, I had a job since I turned 16. My parents got me a car, but I had to pay for my own insurance and gas. I had a limit for how much my birthday and Christmas gifts cost. When I graduated high school and was accepted into a good college, my parents gave me a choice. 1, I live in the dorms. They pay for everything. I get just a bit of spending money, but they won't have a say in my life at all since I am an adult. 2, I live in a 2-bedroom apartment they own in the city. Doorman, gym, pool, and cleaning service. They pay for everything and I have more spending money. In exchange, I have to promise to keep a high GPA, no recreational substance use, no alcohol until I turn 21, and to not have any roommates. Then when I am a junior, the deed to the apartment transfers to my name. I accepted the second choice and it has been great. I'm an introvert, so I appreciate my space. The problem is that a friend I made at the beginning of the semester wanted to move in and I declined. She comes from a middle-class family, paying for her school using student loans, just normal. The first time she was over, she started making some tasteless remarks. Must be nice to never work a day in your life. Must be nice to have mom and daddy wait on you hand and foot, etc. When she wouldn't stop, I just started distancing myself from her. She has been having problems with her roommate from the get-go, but yesterday she just couldn't take it anymore. So she asked me in front of all our friend group if she could move in with me. I said no, she can't. She called me an entitled trust fund baby who didn't know what the normal people's struggles are, and stormed off. Now all my friends say that I'm the a-hole, that I have the space and it wouldn't cost me anything. I could just lie to my parents and they wouldn't know. I disagree, but I thought better to ask because if they don't give it a rest, I'm planning to cut all of them off. I don't need that kind of negativity in my life. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. She's rude and uncaring. She already insults you and your family. Well, let her in. Don't let her move in, ever. The fun question would be, would prospective roommate pay rent? I'm guessing we all know the answer. She's vastly entitled to assume that you owe it to her. It seems like her premise was that you'll host her in your apartment. Refusal wasn't a feasible option, and that is why it blindsided her. That's audacious. She can't possibly expect you to jeopardize your relationship with your parents and the privileges they give you because she doesn't get along with her roommates. It seems like she accumulated a lot of envy towards you, and she revealed it now. Not today, home. You shouldn't be lying to your parents, and you have no obligation to provide free housing to anyone, especially someone who makes snide comments about you and has demonstrated they can't get along with roommates. To be fair to her, her roommate is a nightmare, so she's at fault on that side. Okay, I take that part back. Still doesn't mean you are required to offer free housing though, especially if it means lying to your parents. If nothing else, guaranteed you would be found out somehow. Even if there was no chance of being found out, I wouldn't lie to them. They are great parents, and I wouldn't want to break their trust in me. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my best friend she's not equal to my fiancé? I'm 28 and engaged to a great man the same age as me. We've been dating since we were 16 and got engaged at 24 4 years ago. I have a best friend, Angela, who's also 28. She's a woman as well. So Angela has barely grown out of high school mentality. She still acts like she did back then. Clubbing every weekend, hooking up, always out with friends, new and old. She never had a boyfriend or girlfriend. She only has had situationships, so she doesn't know how commitment works. I don't judge her for that since she seems fine with her life and I'm happy that my friends are being themselves, and I get to be myself despite having different interests. Lately, I had my suspicions that Angela believes that she still comes before my fiancé, just because we were each other's #1 priority in high school. I tried to slip in multiple times, without being confrontational, that my fiancé and I are gonna be a family soon, and how he's my priority and so on, just to get the message across without having some uncomfortable conversation. She didn't seem to get it though, and something dramatic did end up happening. Angela's birthday was 2 days ago, and she planned on having a celebration tomorrow night. The place she picked was a male strip club. I texted her and told her I wouldn't feel comfortable to attend, because strip clubs cross my fiancé's boundaries. It's not because we don't trust each other, but we just don't feel comfortable with that in our relationship. Anyone who knows about this boundary has told us it's a normal boundary, but Angela said that I would be stupid to imply that I'll skip her birthday. I said that we could hang out the two of us someday and go for drinks, but I just don't feel comfortable attending a strip club. She said, "But I'm your best friend. You're not gonna skip your best friend's birthday, are you?" I said, "Sadly, I'll skip it, but I insisted on an alternative for another day. She got disappointed and said she didn't expect me to ever put a man's needs over our friendship. I reminded her he's my fiancé. She argued that him being a fiancé of mine doesn't mean he deserves special treatment over her. I told her that's exactly what it means, and I reminded her that she's not equal to my fiancé anymore in such situations, because he's the person I'm gonna marry and have a family with, and he's my #1 priority. I probably shouldn't have said that because she claims I'm the a-hole, and that I replaced her when I used to have her as my #1. I apologized for that phrasing and tried to explain what I meant, but she wasn't having it and said I should go cry to my fiancé and she doesn't need my fake apology. I didn't mean to hurt her feelings. I just felt like she was pushing me and had a one-sided competition with my fiancé, and I said that. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. You set a mutually agreed upon boundary and you're following it. If she can't understand and respect that, she's not your friend. Many people would be uncomfortable having a birthday in a strip club, not just you. If she truly didn't consider that when she made the decision, that's her fault. Also, she was the one who pushed you to prioritize between her and your fiancé. If she wasn't going to be happy with your response, she shouldn't have put you in that position. I'm female, straight and single, and I would be uncomfortable going to a strip club and would decline an invite from anyone. Not a a-hole. You two are growing up. It's life, and it happens. How we handle it is up to us. But the sounds of it, you are a good and supporting friend. Even though the dynamic is changing, you are still there for them. Just remember they may not see it that way. All you can do is try your best to remind them they are still important to you, but there are boundaries. Hope this helps, and best of luck. I tried to explain it to her after I tried to apologize. She's definitely still one of the most important people in my life, but she has a hard time understanding boundaries and priorities because she's more free-spirited than I am. She doesn't know what those terms mean. I can't entirely blame her, but sometimes her insisting on putting herself above my fiancé seemed on purpose, so I felt disrespected. I would suggest giving her more time to adjust. I know I had a bit of a hard time when my friends were getting married. It can be a little scary, but the effort you were putting in should help her to adjust. Does she get along with your fiancé? That may be another reason she's lashing out. They get along. They're not best friends exactly, but they're friendly with each other, but have different interests, so they can't communicate about much. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to stay home with my kids while my husband attends my brother's wedding? I'm a stay-at-home mom and my husband works full-time. We have 3 kids and one of them is 2 years old. My husband helps a lot with the kids. He's a committed dad, but is absolutely against babysitters, due to an awful incident with a babysitter that was the reason his younger male cousin James got disabled years ago. I don't go out much since I have to take the kids with me, and not every place is suitable for kids. We received an invitation from my brother's, who has been my husband's friend since college, wedding which we later discovered was child-free. My brother lives states away, so the entire trip will take 4 days as well as my brother's in-laws' weekend dinner party, their tradition. I told my husband I want to go since it's been a while since I've been to a wedding, and this one is special, and suggested we get a trusted friend as a babysitter. He asked if I was serious to consider leaving our 2-year-old with a babysitter, and suggested that I do what I normally do and stay home with the kids while he goes to the wedding. I refused, and said I have as much right to attend as him since we both were invited. He said it wasn't his fault my brother wants a child-free wedding, and I should do this for the kids and sacrifice for their sake. I still refused and said this was unfair, and since he's a parent too, then he should also stay for the kids. He looked at me and said, "That's my best friend's wedding you're asking me to skip for Christ's sake. Are you kidding me?" Then said I was being petty for suggesting this and that I was basically choosing to go and party over keeping our kids safe. He asked me to consider this a business trip. What would I do? Go with him and leave the kids? I said I understand his paranoia of babysitters, but really all my friends have sitters and at times they're really needed. He said I ought to know better than what my friends tell me, and this wasn't even up for discussion. And when I kept arguing, he called me selfish and said he won't let me ruin his relationship with his friend because I was being spiteful for not being able to attend, and that my brother will understand my situation. He keeps asking who's more important, a wedding party or my kids, and said I was unreasonable for making my attendance the hill to die on. Am I the a-hole? Am I being selfish for wanting to attend this wedding, my brother's wedding, after 4 years not attending anything? I have a hard time to believe your husband is a good dad. Every single sentence from him smells like entitlement and selfishness. If you can't go to your brother's wedding, so can't he. Why doesn't he stay at home and you attend? Since this never came to his mind, he thinks less of you and your needs. You are the servant for the children, not his wife who is on the same level. This wedding shows you what kind of person your husband is and what he thinks of you, not Dayhole. Literally, every single accusation he's trying to throw at Opie is equally applicable to him. The hypocrisy and obtuseness are truly astounding. Exactly. Why should Opie miss her brother's wedding? Call me old-fashioned, but I think brother outranks best friend. When was the last time Opie's husband stayed behind? Not Dayhole. This is insane. It's your brother, and somehow your husband thinks he is the one who should get to go? When he's the whole reason you can't both go because of his unreasonable paranoia about hiring a babysitter. Honestly, if I were you, I'd be absolutely prepared to die on this hill. He's got away with holding you hostage to this nonsense for years. There's not one single logical reason why he should be allowed to attend rather than you. And if he was prepared to work on his own emotional baggage, then you could just hire a sitter like any other couple would do in this scenario. This is 1,000,000,000% on him. If anyone stays home with the kids, it should be him. He never stays behind. It's about time he did. He wants no babysitter? Well, he is dead, so he can stay and let Opie go to her brother's wedding. What I don't get is, it's her family. Is there not someone in his family who can watch the kids if he wants to go so bad? Not stay home. If he's the one against the babysitter, then he should be the one who stays at home. Your relationship seems very one-sided, and you shouldn't stop yourself going out. Tell him to try another babysitter, or he stays at home while you go out. Also, he says it's his best friend's wedding. It's your brother. Last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not taking in my fiancé's niece and nephew? My fiancé's sister and mother just passed away in an accident, and her sister left behind her 6-year-old son and daughter. And my fiancé pretty much immediately started talking about flying the kids here to move in with us. I've never been interested in having kids. I have nothing against kids in general. I just personally don't want to raise or live with any kids. But I've always been very clear on that, and I thought my fiancé was the same. So I reiterated my stance on having kids, and said I'm not going to change my mind on that now. My fiancé claims we're the only people who can take in these kids, which seems strange because she has a brother who has the bonus of living close to where the kids have been living, so they wouldn't even have to change schools. My fiancé says her brother can't take them because of money and being too busy, though I'm sure he could do it if he really wanted to. I'm pretty sure he gets money from the government for taking in orphan kids if you need financial help. Also, he's about to inherit a bunch of money from his mom. I said if my fiancé insists on taking in these kids, we will no longer be compatible and will unfortunately have to end the relationship, and she'll have to move out of my place. She's mad that I'm making her choose between me and the kids, even though there's really nothing else I can do because I simply am not going to take in these kids. I just have zero interest in raising kids. I think it's completely unfair to expect me to upturn my life for 2 random kids I've never even met, just because her brother can't be bothered. She claims I'm basically saying the kids have to go to foster care, or I'll kick her out and leave her with nowhere to go and 2 kids to care for. Which is a bit dramatic because again, they have an uncle I bet who could take them in with a bit of effort. And if she really must be the one to take them, she could just move into her mom's old place or her sister's old place. She's also saying that I'm basically threatening to break up with her and kick her out right after her mom and sister died. But I don't see that I had a lot of choice since she was ready to bring 2 kids into my place. And it was either tell her my stance now, or wait until she'd already moved them in. Am I the a-hole? Nah, difficult situation. But you shouldn't have to change your life for these kids, though I would accept this as the end of your relationship. Yeah, it really sucks. But if she really must take these kids in, then we just aren't on the same path anymore. Even if she decides she can't take care of the kids on her own and stays with you, the resentment will probably end a relationship for you. This is a no-win situation. There's no way this doesn't end the relationship eventually. Not the a-hole for the sentiment, but if you're sharing it with her the same way you're putting it here, very much the a-hole for that. You say you thought she didn't want kids, but this has nothing to do with her wanting or not wanting kids. These are kids who already exist and who she already loves, who need help. If you're not willing to give that help, you can communicate that boundary, but you make it sound like she's gone all baby hungry or something. She hasn't. She's trying to simultaneously cope with crushing grief, care for 2 loved ones, and probably also trying to make sure she honors what her sister would have wanted. The way you talk about this whole situation doesn't seem to reflect empathy for that. I'm guardian for my developmentally disabled niece should something happen to her parents. Did I love that idea? No. Would I do it? Yes, to the absolute best of my abilities because I love her. Life sometimes throws you curveballs. Opie doesn't want to be part of that, and that is okay. Fiancé will be better off without him, although that sting is likely going to take years to get over. No a-holes here, but can't say you're the most emphatic or lovely person. They're not two random kids. They're her sister's kids, man. Yeah, that bothered me a lot. Opie has no empathy / willingness to see this from her point of view that this is her family, not kids just pulled off the street on a whim.